So I'm up here at Tambourine. See if I can switch this for a sec. So this is the beautiful little village of Tambourine, as you can see. This is where I left to go back down the Gold Coast. Lovely little area. This is the main street, would you believe? For all those big city slickers, this is the main street of Tambourine. So I'm going to look at some calligraphy today. In Japan, they have a concept called Bunbu or Bunbu Itchi. Bunbu Itchi is, Bun is the art, you know, the arts which were mainly calligraphy, poetry, the Chinese classics, studying those sort of things so that you became an educated person. And they were done in accord with the martial arts. So there were traditional martial arts such as the sword, the bow, and so on. And by the way, please take note, this is the last live stream on a Friday. From next week, I'll have to go to Wednesday, simply because this is one of the reasons why I'm outdoors. If I do the live stream at the normal time, I wouldn't have time to get from where I'm staying to the mountains to train from 5 o'clock. So anyway, from next week, it's Wednesday. It's not Friday. So we'll keep going in future on Wednesday afternoon. I hope that suits everybody. So calligraphy is a wonderful thing. I love doing the calligraphy. The calligraphy with a brush, the calligraphy with a pen, they're all very different, slightly different. So I've brought some paper just to show you some calligraphy with a marker pen to show you that. But I also brought my iPad so that I can use that fantastic little app, which is the Zen Brush 3. I don't get any compensation, but if you enjoy the idea of doing calligraphy, oh look, I've got a little visitor here, right on the table there. The little birds that come and visit. Hello, little buddy. Zen Brush 3. It's a fantastic little app. Where's my pen? You can use it with a pen. I don't use the Apple pen. This one costs $29.95. The Apple pen costs $299.95. So anyway, I could get 10 of these for that. But the Zen Brush 3, and this is why I'm doing the live stream on the phone. But I'm going to do some calligraphy, and I just thought we'd do some karate calligraphy. Just the same as English writing, you have the copybook writing that you learn at school, then everybody takes on their own flavor. Some people take on a horrid flavor. Some people take on a much better flavor. But there's a very big difference between writing English with a calligraphy pen and writing English with a normal ballpoint pen or a marker pen, just depending on the shape of the tip. See, this one's a chisel tip, so it'll be interesting to see what I can do. So the title of my book, The Budo Karate Masayama, I wrote that in 87, and that was done with a calligraphy, an English language calligraphy pen, and they have a chisel tip. So you can see the difference here. That's just writing the word Budo just with the tip. But if you turn it and use the calligraphy angle of it, you get slightly different strokes and thicknesses. This is not obviously a calligraphy, so you can see that there's differences there. Well, that's the same when you work with a brush to do Japanese calligraphy. That calligraphy changes according to where you put the pressure and the angle and so on, and it's kind of it's a bit tricky, but unless you go to the effort of getting the sumi ink, the paper, the brush, if you're keen on calligraphy, it's a fantastic thing to do. And I know there's a lot of martial arts people who get right into it. But a good compromise is this Zen brush 3. So I'm going to use that today, and I'm going to demonstrate to you. So just like in English, holding that paper for them, just like in English, there's different ways to write. So for example, if I write kata, the character for kata, as in karate. So another important thing to know about writing Japanese calligraphy is that the stroke order is very, very important. And it becomes very clear how important the stroke order is as you do more calligraphy. So I'm going to first of all just do, there's the first 3 strokes. So that's kata, as in karate. Alright, and that's kind of a printed fundamental form. You can't get the proper pressures and angles with these pens on the iPad, of course. You can, because it's metal on glass, so you can't get the same feeling with the brush. But you can practice your skills really well. So I'm just going to get rid of that one. Here's the stroke order, and here's the first stroke is that. Then is that. Don't look at the neatness. Then that. So there's 1, first stroke, first, second stroke, first, second, third stroke. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we go up the top here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I'll keep going there. 7, 8. So there's your finished kanji for kata, karate. Now, clearly, you've got to learn the correct angles and so on. You can't just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and it doesn't really work. So you learn the angles. You play with the width. I'm going to make it a little thicker again. And then once you have this fundamental style down, then you can bend the rules. So it becomes a running style, what they call gyosho or sokki. So that's the same kanji, but it's written in a running writing sort of style. 1, 2, 3, there. And this is where the calligraphy masters start to really hold their own, because they develop their own particularly expressive style. And just like in English, we use different fonts. So you wouldn't use a beautiful Victorian cursive font to write the word strong. You'd use a much more powerful font. Well, it's the same in Japanese. So 1, 2. I'm just playing now. You see, there's kata. Now the kanji for te, karate, is hand. And once again, there's the first stroke, second stroke, third stroke, fourth stroke, like that. Okay, this is a bit tricky to write with these pens because you can't get the correct pressure. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's te, as in karate. Okay, so it kind of looks like a 5-fingered hand when you think about it. The interesting thing about kata, the kata of karate, it also means sora, or sky. So it means empty, but the sky, sora, is empty. So they use the same kanji. Now, for te, once again, 1, 2, 3, 4. And you'll notice one thing which is really interesting, and I'll show you later with the pen. It's even more important, is even though you might have a font, like a printed font on a computer, that will show, I'm trying to do it with straight lines like that. Horrible. The fact of the matter is, when you do it with a brush or a pen, a straight line becomes a bent line. So it sticks like that. So you might see a printed book with, let's say, the kanji for 3 is 1, 2, 3 strokes, all right? But when you write it with a brush, it's 1, 2, 3. You curve the strokes. So that's a good thing to remember if you want to learn calligraphy. When you draw a straight stroke, you go down, over, and back. Down, over, and back. Like that. So when you do text, even though they're two straight lines, you get more expression if you curve them like that. So now we put the two together. 1, 2. Karate. I'll do a little bit of a running writing style. 1, 2, 3. Karate. So that's karate. Anyway, whoops, I'm hoping you're able to see it. Karate. There, like that. Now let's see if I can squeeze it up. So I'm going to make the brush a little thinner. So that's karate do, the way of karate. So do, like that. You can't, it's really hard to get the proper pressure and thicknesses with this app, but it's an outstanding app for so many other things. So let's look, for example, at kata again. And a really cool feature of this app, I'll just make it thicker again. Another very cool feature of this app is so this, by the way, is the original kanji for kata. So before karate, make it thin again. So this kanji that was the original kata or karate. And that referred to the Tang dynasty of China, which was traditionally the highest level of Chinese civilization. So karate literally meant Chinese hand. But of course, when Funakoshi wanted to introduce it to Japan and make it more uniquely Japanese, they changed the karate to empty hand, which is very cool. So let me just do that again. So you have, this is karate. That's kata, Chinese hand, and kata, empty hand. Another cool thing that you can do with this app, let me just, so for example, the kanji that I use, my daughter put up the post for me on Instagram, but is the kanji for dragon. I've done the dragon in the book too. So that's the kanji for dragon. Now, I love to play with this one because, and if you remember that the kanji are actually almost pictograms. So for example, the old kanji for sun was like that. It was the sun with the dot in the middle. And then gradually that became this, and then gradually it became that. So the sun became the kanji for sun. See that? Now, here's where it's cool. This is the kanji for, see if you can guess what that is. That's the kanji for tree, right? I've got it down on Zoom a little bit. So, that's the kanji for tree. Okay? It's a bit messy, and we can't quite get it accurate with this app, but it does a great job. So if you could imagine, that's the kanji for sun. This is the kanji for tree. So you put two together. So can you see the two together? That's tree, and I'll do this here. That part in the middle is the sun. Let me make that a bit bigger. See what I've done there? So the kanji, which combines the sun and the tree, is the kanji for the east. So the sun rises up in the east, and you see the sun filtering through the trees in the early morning. So you can see how the Chinese developed the principles behind these pictographs, or kanji. So in Japanese, you can have one sentence, you can have 4 different alphabets all happening at once. You can have the Chinese kanji, the hiragana. Katakana represents a number of different things, but it represents, first of all, foreign words. Okay, so if you write your name, so if I write my name in Japanese, that's katakana. It's phonetic. There's no particular meaning to it. It's just phonetic. So that's how I write. Or when I was at school in Japan, I used to write that cam. Okay. But there is, so primarily what katakana do is represent gairaigo, or words that have come from overseas. Okay, so here's one you'll see all the time. Home. In Japanese, they don't have the F sound for. So when you're talking about a platform on a train, the platform becomes home. So it's a foreign word that's been introduced. Now, the question was, why do we sometimes see karate written in katakana? And I think that's an interesting question. And karate. So karate can also be written in katakana. And I think the question was why? Well, I think, to me, that's a testimony to Sosai's greatness. He realized, first of all, you can do karate in Japanese. You can also do karate in katakana. So Sosai saw that karate, he wanted to expand karate, so it wasn't just a Japanese fighting art. It was actually an international art. And karate, as we see it today, there is no doubt that it's an international art, because you have even the Japanese now who are learning karate from innovators overseas. You know, you have instructors all over the world who are actually very, very innovative in what they're doing, and the Japanese come to go to different countries around the world to learn. So karate really has become an international art. So that's the first reason why Sosai chose to write, sometimes, not all the time, chose to write karate in katakana, because he saw it as having expanded beyond just a Japanese art. He saw it as an international art. The other thing is that katakana are used for emphasis. So when you read manga, for example, Japanese, you know, when you read Batman comics, you see pow, kapow, kazoom, and all these onomatopoeic words. Well, in Japanese, they're always written, you know, you see, oh, be something like that. Oh, that's all in katakana. So katakana is often used for emphasis. So he started to write karate in katakana because he also saw that he wanted to use the kana as emphasis for the strength of karate. So I think that's very, very cool and very innovative of Sosai. So, you know, you have Bunbu Itchi. Remember I said Bunbu Itchi at the beginning. That's bun, or the art, or writing art, or, you know, the kanji for bun, for the you know, the educated arts of calligraphy and so on. And Budo, so Bunbu. So that's Bunbu. Bunbu. Can you speak a little about the different kanji sometimes used for the word kata? Ah, very good point. Okay, because sometimes you see some people use kata. There are two ways, but one I think is more correct than others. And the main kata is, so that's the general kanji for kata, and that's the one which is most widely used for kata, because I think it's the most correct, and that means a form. And in a way, it's connected to the other one. The other one, which you see sometimes, is this. I do a series of lines like this, all equally spaced. Then when you do the kanji, and you put them on those lines, the kanji becomes much, much neater. So remember that. So anyway, back to the discussion. This is the kanji that's often used for kata, but I believe it's wrong, because in Japanese that says that's katachi. Katachi means a shape. Okay? This is the kanji for shape. And I think I just noticed Vinny just quickly put that up there in the stream. But you look at this, and this 1, 2, 3 becomes this, and then you put that shape across the ground, and then you have a kata. So you see, that's the kanji for kata, is you take the shape, 1, 2, 3, that shape, as when you combine it with another kanji to form one kanji, you often change the form of it, and then this kanji here that I'll write down here first, that's the ground or earth. Okay, 1, 2, 3. So you add that to this one, and there you have the kanji for kata. Okay, so it's a shape or a form moving across the ground. So they're two different kanji. And I tend to think that this one is overused. I don't think it's really correct. I haven't really looked into it much, but I do notice every now and then that they use that by mistake. Usually foreigners use it by mistake. But it's that, if you can see that, and then you just change a little bit, and then you add the ground part of it, and then that's the kanji for kata. Okay, so that's that was the question. What is the difference between the two kanji? This kanji is... Oh, you just run out. Might have gotten it. Oh no, I just might... Oops. So that's katachi. Katachi, which means a shape. Okay? 1, 2, 3, 4. When you change 1, 2, 3 in katachi to that and add the kanji for ground, then you have kata. Now, because I'm shooting this on my iPhone, the live stream doesn't stay very long. I just noticed the tail end of that Mike had written a message about one of the Wadoryu senseis using this one as well. And I think that takes it to another level again. Okay, so for the average Joe, this is the kanji you want to use for kata. But when you understand it more deeply, and Mike Clark is referring to a master of Wado Liu, then quite often the kanji for katachi takes meaning as well. Okay, so sometimes they use this katachi for kata. It represents a certain shape, but they don't want you to get locked into it. I could be wrong here, Mike. I haven't really given it some thought, and I just saw the tail end, and it fades away. To me, it makes perfect sense why people would use that as well. I just do notice that this one is used by some Japanese people, and they obviously know what they're doing, whereas when it's used by Westerners, often they're making a mistake. What they really want to be using is this one. So that's that question about kata. So anyway, there you have it, guys. I hope you enjoyed that. Let me just finish off with, see if you can tell me what this one is. You recognize that one? Yes, indeed. It's awesome. Or Oshi. Shinobu. So Os. And that's how I write it, with almost running writing in 1 or 2 long strokes. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. That's so 17 strokes. But when I write it, that's 1 stroke, 2 strokes, 3, 4 strokes. So I cut it down to 4 strokes, just in a running writing sort of style. I'm just going to quickly finish off here. Here's some paper. So to use it to when you write with a pen, things are a little bit different because you just have that consistent thickness. So that's where it's important to get that idea of the bent shape in the line. See, rather than go straight, 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 you get the bentness of it. That's very important. So for example, if you write the kanji for writing shodo, see how you bend it. And in Japanese, for example, when you write the sun, it's a square, but you never write, when you write with a pencil or a pen, you never do the square. It's almost like you're drawing a triangle, so it becomes 1, 2, 3, 4. It gets, and the one in the middle, you never take all the way across. You don't go all the way across to there like that. So 1, 2, the middle one stops there like that. So that's the kanji for Japan. So when you write shodo or calligraphy, you can play around with it a little bit, and you do it in a nice running writing style. I literally haven't written kanji for years, but I used to write it in a nice running writing style like that. There you go. That's not real good. There, like that. See how you do the square at the bottom isn't square, it's triangular. And then you add the kanji for do. Once again, middle ones don't touch, bottom ones touch. So there you go. So to finish off, we go shodo. Sho. Shodo. There you go. So finish off with the nice kanji for shodo or calligraphy. So there you have it. So that's today. I hope you enjoyed that. If you're interested in doing more calligraphy, let me know. I'd be more than happy to send you in the right direction. There's thank you, Dario. Guys, I think that the whole calligraphy thing is so much fun, and of course, when I was living in Japan as a high school boy, my Hayashi sensei was my calligraphy teacher, and she was really, really helpful. We can do it again sometime, and the exciting thing is that I'm doing a large format, limited edition of Budo Karate book. We're only printing 250 copies. Each one will have a beautiful fold-out calligraphy, a tri-fold calligraphy, and each one also gets an original calligraphy sign. I'm going to do an original calligraphy that goes with each book. We're only doing 250 books. So anyway, that's in the next probably 9 months. So I just thought it'd be a little bit of fun to show you some calligraphy. So I hope you enjoyed that. Thank you very much for coming along. From next week, Wednesday afternoon, not Friday afternoon. This is the last Friday session. From next week, it's Wednesday. And also, Patreon family, thank you very much. Thank you, Patreon family, and to new Patreon members, thank you very much again. Your support really makes all this possible. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Hit the notification bell for 1, 2. And if you have subscribed, hit a like and leave a message. And I do my best to have a look at all the messages.